Welcome back in Chicago Fire locker room. Kevin Egan joined by assistant coach Clint Mathis for another edition of Fire Field Vision powered by NovaCare. This past week, Clint, disappointing loss in the end against Orlando, 2-1 to the Fire, 82nd minute, all things changed. What happened?
No, I mean, I would even go back earlier, and even in DC was a bit of a disappointment. I know that they're leading the league, but for us to go up 1-0 like that, I think that the adjustments that we've made, this year compared to last year, I expect to at least get minimum a point out of that game in DC, and then to turn around and go up and be winning at home, and pretty much couldn't even tell you what happened, but it wasn't good, and so it was not only disappointing, for the coaching staff, but the players to see how hard that they've been working to do so well, to play so well, and then for it to fall apart like that.
You just said it. I mean, the team played, I felt, in so many areas so well, especially throughout the first half, beginning of the second half. You get that goal, and then it seemed to me nearly like they were playing not to lose rather than to go on and win. Is that a mentality thing that needs to change? Or
100%. I mean, I think the guys just got to have, confidence. I think it's, two things, one on each end. We are creating so many chances this year compared to last year, but we're not continuing. We have scored quite a few goals in the last, I would say, I think it's 5 games. If I do my math correct, it's got to be close to 10 goals, I think, that we've scored. So with saying that, there's still got to, a nail's got to be thrown in the coffin, and we kept creating chances. We didn't finish those guys off and make it 3-1 instead of 2-1, and then they fought hard, and give them credit to stay in the game. And then another thing on the other end is when you make mistakes, you can make mistakes and get away with it and go through it. Our problem is we're making mistakes and they're turning into catastrophic mistakes, and that's things that you see like a team like DC that we played before. Earlier this year, Vancouver, that we lost 1-0 that I thought could have easily been a draw, but we're making big time mistakes that are costing us goals, and we're not giving up many chances. I think we were looking the other day at percentages, and I think 40% of the shots on frame against us are going in versus 25% or 20, I think it was 23 or 24% of our chances on frame are going in. But the numbers are so skewed, it's amazing that how many we're creating versus how many we're giving up, but more of theirs are going in.
Well, speaking of one that actually did go in the first half, it's getting lots of praise this week in Major League Soccer. The goal that Kennedy Bonanike scored, I saw during the week, it was something you'd practiced a little bit, but it was something that really worked majestically. Talk us through that goal, and from your standpoint, how pleased were you to see that go in?
No, I mean, I was very pleased. I mean, Kennedy's been working really hard. I think he started off the season a little bit frustrated, thought it was going to be a little easier coming in. He was creating chances, whether the keeper was making great saves or just didn't quite hit the target. And, I just sat him down and said, hey, you're just going to have to relax. I mean, some of the best players in the world have came to this league, and I call it a 6-month league. People think it's just going to be easy coming in. David Beckham had a hard time, his first season. He was clearly one of the best players in the world. Thierry Henry had a little bit of lapse. Marquez, who in my opinion it never worked out for. So you look at players at that caliber and playing at that level, I told Kennedy, just be calm, relax, don't put any pressure on yourself. You're doing the right things in training, you're making the right runs, you're going to get one. And you've seen the last couple games for him to be able to turn it on. And, as a striker, it's all about confidence. When you're not scoring, it's tough to bounce back and everything's going wrong, but as soon as you get one in the holster, they start coming out more, and I think that's what you're going to start seeing with Kennedy.
All right, turning to Saturday. New England Revolution away from home. Without key players, David Accam, Jovan Jones, Sean Maloney. Now, New England haven't won in the last 6 games. They're missing some key players as well. Your keys to the game, if you will, that basic question, but what are your thoughts on this match?
I mean, looking into it, obviously you don't want 3 of your key players missing any game, but, that's just the way that it happens with the league continuing to play with the international duties happening, and it's happened to other teams in the MLS, but I think it's a good opportunity for guys that maybe have started some games in and out of the start lineup, or some guys that hadn't even really got off the bench to be able to come in and make an impact, to really give those guys some experience to, I think, expand our depth on the bench, because, there's been, a few games this year that our bench hasn't helped us, whether mentally or just things weren't going right, but definitely the level of play has dropped when we have made some substitutions. So maybe this will give a chance for some of those guys that haven't got many minutes to get some more confidence, and, give them a little bit of, hunger to say, hey, coach, this is why I should be starting. And that's the opportunity that these guys that haven't got many minutes that they need to use in these types of games, especially when we've given up, 6 points in the last 2 games.
Clint Mathis, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Always good to catch up with Clint Mathis. Very pleased with the progression of Kennedy Igboananike. He mentions that it's a 6-month league, and I think you can clearly see that Igboananike is coming into his own here in Chicago. Now let's take a quick look back at that goal against Orlando over the weekend. I thought it was a marvellous set play that the team executed so well. From the corner kick, let's just pause it right here. Now what you can see is 2 players for the Fire on the right hand side. That's David Akam and Harry Shipp. You've got Eric Avila who's marking them, so he's 2-on-1 in that situation. Now you've got, as you can see, Lewis Neal. He's checking back to see exactly where Razvan Kochic is. Inside the area, you've got man-on-man marking apart from 1 Orlando player on the post and 1 in his zonal area. So the Fire doing very well to commit lots of players forward and really crowd that area. The Fire know exactly what they're doing in this instance. A quick pass to Kochic, let's play it on. A quick pass to Kochic, just about gets there. Akam follows the run, Avila is lost. And Kennedy Igboananike follows in the run absolutely brilliantly, times his run to perfection, and it's just such a class finish from the Chicago Fire. It was all about staying onside, and credit to David Akam and also Kennedy Igboananike for doing so. So, the Fire take a 1-0 lead, goes back to 1-1, then 2-1 Fire. Now, how can the team be more clinical going forward? It's something Dan Kelly and I always say in the broadcast, try and be more clinical going forward and cut out costly errors. Well, let's take a look at one play in the second half, which is at 2-2 in the game, late on. Quincy Amarikwa picks up the ball here from Matt Watson. Look at the space. Now, if we pause it right here, you'll clearly see Mike McGee, the bottom left corner of your picture, with the arm up. He has a brilliant run toward the back here of Aurelian Collin. He's caught out Ramos, the right fullback. Now, for me, Quincy Amarikwa in that instance needs to lift his head and look at his options. His options are 1, run down the right-hand side, or 2, he's got that pass that he could slip across to Mike McGee. And I think players, now that Mike McGee is back, need to start thinking along the same wavelength as McGee. He's such a smart footballer. Instead, Quincy Amarikwa goes for the option that I don't feel is the right one at that point in time. Mike McGee clearly a little bit frustrated. But Mike McGee back in the team, you need to start thinking, what kind of runs is Mike making? He's such a smart footballer, and that's why he went on to win MVP and score 21 goals in 2013. So, the opponents for this weekend, New England Revolution, without a win in their last 6 matches, but they've got so many good threats, at home especially. One player in particular that I want to look at this week is Teal Bunbury, playing on the right-hand side of nearly a 4-2-3-1 in the 3 attacking players moving forward. Now, one thing he does very well is he recognises space. Watch Teal Bunbury here, wearing number 10. Watch how he just brings his body back a little bit as the fullback pushes across. He creates a space for himself, puts it in the back of the net. Similar move. If we pause it right here, look at Teal Bunbury over on the right-hand side, the top right-hand side of your picture, on the edge of the box. Young Sorto, the fullback for LA, keeping an eye on him. Now, if we play it on, watch as Teal Bunbury just allows space to develop between the fullback. Now he makes that darting run toward the back post. Such smart poacher play from Bunbury, and that's how he's got on the score sheet a few times this season. So, no rest for the wicked. Attention quickly turns to the away clash against New England Revolution. The match is on CSN Chicago, of course, and it's at 6 p.m. Central Time. That's the pre-game show, and the match shortly following that as well. So please do check it out.